Welcome back to Jedi Enclave. I'm Daniel.
I'm Chris.
And this is the Jedi Enclave presents the Now This Is Podcasting podcast, which is our weekly chat about Star Wars news and other fandoms that we like. We like to talk about what's happening and all the other things. It's, you know, all the upcoming shows, all the shows that are currently happening, anything happening in Star Wars, which right now isn't a ton.
Yeah.
So we're glad you're here. At least we're glad that some of you are here. Today on the show, we have updates on the new Star Wars Disney Plus series, which is more of a correction of what we reported on. We don't report anything. We're not reporters.
We are not journalists. Yeah. We're two nerds sitting in a basement.
But we talked about this last week, and there were a bunch of things going around, and the Star Wars stepped in. And there's an old Star Wars game coming to PlayStation. We're going to talk about that. Mace Windu has returned. Mm-hmm. But not in the way that you think.
Not in the way that you want, because he's dead.
And today, because last week we did the best moments in every Star Wars movie. Mm-hmm. This week we're doing the worst moments.
Yep. We were shining beacons of positivity in the community last week, and now we're gonna sip on that haterade.
Yeah, we're gonna pull a Star Wars theory and bitch about things that don't matter. Anyway. If you're here with us on the podcast after the fact, time codes will be in the description, which, by the way, we're going to talk about this. This is like a quick housekeeping thing. Okay. I don't put a ton of work into like the camera feed for the live stream because when it goes up on YouTube as our podcast, we have like a really good a really good camera that catches the the feed and everything. I'm going to try to make it so that both qualities are a little more even. So because the live stream feed isn't great, it's actually kind of ass because it's a camera that requires different light than the other camera, and like the live stream camera needs more light, but if I put too much light, then the other camera gets washed out, so because it's more sensitive. So what does this mean for you? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I'm moving on. Anyway, time codes in the description. I did that for free, just for you. You're welcome. And Connor at the Star Wars Hub deserves our thanks, who's our friend and has a cool thing running over on Facebook. 2 groups, the Star Wars Hub, Star Wars Veritas. He has both of them. You should check them out. And then while you're here, if you could click like, subscribe, and share the stream, join us on Discord. And then right after this, 7.
Assuming you're watching in the present and not the future.
Probably a little after 7, but we're going to do Star Wars Battlefront 2 with our boys from...
and if you're surprised that people are still playing Battlefront 2, so am I.
We're as surprised as you. We still don't have any trouble finding matches.
Yeah.
So I'm going to play that bitch into the ground. Gungans and Dragons. Tomorrow night at 7, our tabletop.
Took a week off because somebody had a birthday.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, no, my partner's birthday is tomorrow. Like, our birthdays are only 6 days apart, and we ordinarily split the difference and celebrate on the 6th. But it's been a really crazy weekend. That just wasn't going to work out. So yeah, that'll be our tabletop RPG. I can't remember what part of the adventure we're on, but it's a lot of fun.
There's some spooky Sith shit going on.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about some Star Wars news.
Okay.
So last week we were talking about a story, like there was a slate going around of all the shows coming up in 2024. Yes. And it was like a handful.
Yeah. There were like 4.
Yeah.
I think.
So Disney was like, wait a second, guys.
Let's just manage expectations here.
And it turns out that the number of shows coming out is much smaller, at least the ones that are confirmed, are much smaller than we originally thought. And so Disney has only confirmed that we're getting 2 shows in 2024, Star Wars Acolyte and Star Wars Skeleton Crew.
Okay. Those are the 2 that I would expect, given that they're the 2 furthest along.
Right. So pipeline. What does this mean for Andor Season 2, Bad Batch Season 3, Mando Season 4? We don't know. And
not next year.
Yeah. And I think that they would have, if they're coming out next year, they probably would have confirmed it already. Because they didn't say...
if they're confirming that the Acolyte and Skeleton Crew are definitely coming, I feel like they would have also said, and also...
Yeah, I'm just wondering maybe if they're like, maybe some of these will come out, but we don't want to get anyone's hopes up.
That would also be
I don't know. So also there, as a part of this, there's a weird rumor going around that Mando Season 4 might be turned into a film.
Yes, that's one of the things I think you set me up to talk about.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Should we just jump to that, or?
Yeah, we'll just make it a part of this.
So, spoilers. Mando season 4 might be turning into a movie.
Yeah. Sorry.
I guess the strikes earlier this year kind of screwed with Disney's production timetable is the justification that's being thrown around for this. Mm-hmm. But really, who's to say?
Yeah.
So we know that taking what you originally envisioned as a movie and turning it into a show, like they did with Obi-Wan, can have some mixed results. There's also just as much danger taking what you envision as a show and turning it into a movie.
Yeah.
Because shows are really good at like protracted storytelling and slow burns and like really getting deep with a character or characters and feeling the stakes. Movies are really good at shock and awe and spectacle.
Yeah. Fast. I mean, we talk about pacing at films all the time.
Yes.
Like whether or not something is good, like the pacing is good or not.
Yes. And Mando to this point has taken maximum advantage of that slow burn to set up storylines that have gone across entire seasons to that eventually pay off at the end. And that's not to say Jon Favreau couldn't make a Mando movie, but it would go against the formula so far.
There's one thing that makes me think that this could work. And it's that all of the Mandalorian episodes are like, when you remove the previously on and the credits, how long are they actually?
15, 20 minutes.
They're not that long. And I don't think it's certainly not as slow a burn as Andor, right?
Yeah.
I think it's still pretty fast paced. It's just that they spread it out over several small little episodes.
Yeah, and all the little cliffhangers at the end to keep you engaged.
Right. So I think you can turn any story into a film if enough attention is paid to it.
As long as you're careful with it and you adjust the script to the medium.
Right. So obviously a big thing that like, who knows how the WGA and SAG-AFTRA strikes impacted this too. It's one of the reasons why we're only getting 2 shows for sure. Real quick, which by the way, this is live, so we'll be reading comments as they come in. Din Djarin apparently is in our chat.
The real Din Djarin.
Why would he lie? Why would anyone lie about being someone else on the internet?
Couldn't tell you.
The Star Wars game I'm excited for is Star Wars Outlaws.
I'm excited. That's pretty cool.
I want to make a comment on that.
Okay.
I know I'm not supposed to be talking a lot because we have a lot of shit to do, but
it's our show. We'll talk about what we want.
So the Game Awards happen.
Yes.
Which is, by the way, just a giant advertisement for games.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I'm okay with it,
but I didn't watch any of it. I was real pissed that Spider-Man 2 didn't get like Game of the Year.
It didn't get anything.
I know. Which is, anyway, this is not the point, Chris.
Yes.
This is not the point.
What is the point?
There are some in the Star Wars ether, the dumbasses, who are like, oh, Star Wars is dead because they didn't announce anything at the Game Awards. And it's like, you understand that their AAA title that is coming out in 2024 was announced 6 months ago and had a trailer.
Yeah.
Right?
Plus,
you want them to remind you and re-announce it? Like,
there's another Cal Kestis game happening.
Oh, yeah.
For sure, at least one. They'll make them until they stop making money.
Cameron Monaghan accidentally confirmed it in an interview. He was like, yeah, we're doing another. I mean, we may or may not be doing another one. Like he literally said that they were doing it. So shut the fuck up. Like, Star Wars isn't dead because Star Wars wasn't at the Game Awards or what the fuck ever. I am excited about Star Wars Outlaws. But speaking of Star Wars news, there are a couple of defining moments of my childhood. Okay. One of them is I had 2 friends. My friend Joe and my friend the N64.
Yes.
Right. And on the N64, played a lot of GoldenEye and a lot of Banjo-Kazooie.
Okay, fair.
Shadows of the Empire.
Yep.
Played the shit out of Rogue Squadron. When I got a little bit older, I got a PlayStation 1, one of the little mini ones for $50. I don't know how I got the $50. I probably stole it, but went and got it and played Jedi Power Battles. Then when episode 1 was coming out, there was a game that was released.
Yeah, it was a tie-in game.
Yeah. I had to go to our middle school, because I was in like middle school or junior high. I had to go to the public computer lab, which was just our school computer lab that was open after hours for like the public. And I don't know how I bought that game either. I might have also stolen that, but like install that game on one of the community computers, which I was not allowed to do.
You're not supposed to do that.
But the person that supervised the public computer lab was my computers teacher, and she loved me, so she let me do whatever the fuck I wanted to do. And that game was Star Wars Episode 1, the tie-in game. Mm-hmm. And I really love that game. Now, I tried to stream this a few months ago on a PlayStation emulator, or maybe I just tried to play it like the PC version.
Yeah.
And it was really buggy and terrible and didn't work. And I had to quit playing it because it was really bad. Yeah. Apparently, because of a ratings leak in Taiwan, there's an indication that game, the Star Wars Episode 1 Phantom Menace tie into the movie, is coming to PS4 and PS5 on PlayStation Plus Classics. Okay. So they're porting it over.
Cool.
And so now I'm thinking, because I have a PS4 and like I'm starting to look up like PlayStation Plus Classics, how much do I have to pay? Because I can beat that game in like a couple days.
Yeah.
Like, how much do I have to pay to do that? And then immediately cancel that service? Because if it runs stably on PS4, I'll be all for it. It was a lot of fun.
I don't think I've ever played that game, but
it's cool. It's not as good as Jedi Power Battles, which was the shit. It was so good. If you guys have not played Jedi Power Battles on PlayStation 1, it was so cool. I've also streamed that. I'll probably come back to it as well. You can play, it's pretty much the entire story of Episode 1 with some like unrelated missions in between and stuff. But the hook is that at the beginning, you can pick what Jedi you want to play. So, and you can play as Qui-Gon or Obi-Wan.
Of course.
Mace Windu.
Okay.
And this was before Episode 2, so his lightsaber is still blue.
Oh.
Addie Galea, who is headdress woman, who has a red lightsaber and holds it upside down like Starkiller. Plo Koon, who had a yellow lightsaber. And I think those are the only ones. Okay. And I think on the Dreamcast version, you could play as Ki-Adi-Mundi maybe, which I think you just swing around one of his wives. And that's how you hit people.
That sounds real.
Yeah. If you've not played Jedi Power Battles, it really is the shit. What else do we have?
Speaking of Mace Windu, we got a StarWars.com press release announcing a new novel, Star Wars: The Glass Abyss, which centers around Mace Windu in the immediate aftermath of Episode 1. He gets a posthumous message from Qui-Gon who says, "Hey,
Mace. Hey, I know you're sleeping. You there? You up?"
Basically, Qui-Gon says, "Yeah, I promised these people on this planet in the back of nowhere that I'd take care of them, but now I'm dead, so I kind of need you to do it."
Also, this happened 10 years ago, and I totally forgot.
Yeah.
Like, they've been waiting for me for 10 years.
Mace Windu's like, son of a bitch. Yeah. Fine, I guess I'll get out of this motherfucking conference chamber and go down to this motherfucking planet and save these motherfucking people.
This is cool because...
Yeah. I think it's Mace Windu.
Yeah.
How could it not be cool?
In the description I read of it mentions something about Mace Windu feeling unbalanced because the energy that Qui-Gon brought to the Jedi, which was just fucking like,
fuck you, I'll do what I want.
Yeah, like that made him feel balanced. Yeah, because everyone just like kisses his ass. Like him and Yoda, they just kiss their ass. Yeah, and then there's like Qui-Gon, who very much does not or did not do that, and how like not having Qui-Gon there anymore is really fucking with him.
I imagine it's also partially that a Jedi Master just fucking died to a Sith who everyone believes has been extinct.
Right.
So centuries.
All the Jedi have egg on their face. Yeah. Particularly Ki-Adi-Mundi, who is like, "You're lying. We haven't seen those bitches for a millennium." And then they're like, "Oh, okay, so we were wrong."
Okay, yeah.
So
like Mace Windu is kind of grappling with this new reality. Yeah. And also he has to clean up Qui-Gon's mess.
Right. I should mention Qui-Gon or Mace Windu is my favorite prequel era Jedi. So any story they put out about Mace Windu, I'm going to be like, fuck yeah. So remember that the next time we come in any like the once a week discussion we get into about whether or not Mace Windu is actually really dead, or
which he is.
Yeah, like when you hear me say that he's dead and he should stay dead, remember that he is my favorite prequel era Jedi, and that's one of the reasons he should stay dead.
The only bad news here is that this book is not coming out until August of next year.
Yeah, I think I'm just going to go into a coma until stuff starts happening again.
You got like 8 months to get hard.
Yeah. Oh, I need 3 minutes and that's about it. Is that all? Is that it?
That's all.
Okay, so we're going to get to our main segment today.
Okay.
And this is going to be the worst moments in every Star Wars film, all of them.
As decided by us.
Yes. Now, last week we did the best moments,
the stuff we really like the most.
Yes. And the premise was it doesn't matter what Star Wars movie it is. Even the ones you don't like.
Even those you don't like, there's some pretty cool shit in them.
All of them have good moments in them. Yeah. And this is kind of the same premise, except that it was very hard for me to find things wrong with Empire Strikes Back. But I managed it, goddammit. So these are all the feature film lengths. We're not doing your Christmas specials because that's like low-hanging fruit anyway. We're doing it chronological.
My favorite part would be how Carrie Fisher is just coked out the whole time.
I think if I had to make a list of terrible moments from the Christmas special, it would probably be Chewbacca's father, I think, watching the VR porn. Yeah, because that's super weird. And what's really funny is that like there would be a thing in that would have made the best thing, like the good moments thing too, because that animated feature with Boba Fett, introducing Boba Fett, is actually kind of cool. Like it's really comes in like on a mythosaur and shit. Yeah. It's really neat. We're doing them in chronological order. Okay. By story. All right. Not by release. So
starting in episode 1, we're gonna hit Rogue One and Solo in the middle.
Right. And so we're looking at specific moments or broad ideas in general. Okay. So there are certain things that like certain scenes that bug me. There are certain ideas that bug me about each of these films. While you're at it, please like the video, subscribe, make sure you comment, join us on Discord. I'm doing this because this will be a different video on our YouTube channel, which by the way, you should go sub to as well. So let's get cooking here.
Okay. We're going to start. So I have to say, right at the beginning of episode 1, it is a bold choice to begin your space fantasy movie with a big digression about interstellar trade and politics.
First thing on my list, trade dispute.
Like, that's the premise of this whole movie. There was a trade dispute, and that brought in some Jedi.
Yeah. Let's ignore for a moment that the politics in the Republic, in this part of the Star Wars story, don't make sense.
Yes.
Why the fuck does now I'm saying this isn't even that hard to believe anymore. Why the fuck is a trade corporation have representation in the Senate? And then I realize we do that in America anyway. Mm-hmm. We're just not we just don't make it official.
We don't formalize it. Yeah.
I started saying that and I was like, oh God, we do that anyway.
I also have to say that it eventually makes sense in Revenge of the Sith with how Palpatine manipulates the entire galaxy using politics. Okay. But as this movie, taken just in isolation, episode 1, it is a bold choice.
Yeah. And not a great,
not a good one.
And I get, George Lucas needed a foe that would invade a planet and have the Republic powerless to do anything about it. Mm-hmm. So they made up this trade thing. We're like, oh, we're legally doing this because by the way, Naboo exports plasma. That's their big export. How is that specific to Naboo? Plasma is one of those naturally occurring things that happen everywhere. Go to a fucking sun. They all have plasma. Yeah. Anyway, okay. The beginning of the second act drags like a motherfucker until the pod race.
Can we just say Jar Jar in general?
Jar Jar's on my... and so looking back, Jar Jar doesn't necessarily annoy me as much as he did when I was a kid.
He does. He annoys me.
Yeah. He's still annoying, but I understand. Maybe it's because I am now so sensitive to the terrible things that Ahmed Best went through directly after this and everything. So I try to I try to give Jar Jar a more than a fair shake because of that. But
same with Jake, what's his name? The kid who played Anakin.
Yeah. Alexa, who played Anakin in Star Wars Episode 1? Jake Lloyd. No, it's not Hayden.
Don't worry about it. You remembered, it's Jake Lloyd.
Yeah, it's Jake Lloyd. He was wrong.
Playing that role kind of ruined Jake Lloyd's life.
Yeah.
He was bullied in school.
He's still not okay,
years afterwards. Yeah. He's still got psychological trauma about it.
Yeah. So up until the pod race, the moment they get to Tatooine, up until the pod race, I fall asleep every single time I watch
Republic credits.
Yeah. Which that's not even get into. I understand that George Lucas wasn't trying to be overtly racist with the Nemoidian sounding. There's no Asian. There's no better way to say it. They just sound Asian, like stereotypical Asian. And I mean, I don't even want to say what Watto probably was, right? And I don't think that he was like, oh, I have to make a statement. And I think he was just like, oh, those are neat sounding accents, and it'll make everything sound diverse. And everything.
He was just like, the Star Wars universe has always just kind of used accents to like, oh, look at this person or people, aren't they so foreign and weird?
Yeah. And I get it. He wasn't trying to be a terrible person. He said at the time too, they're like, oh, what do you say about that blah blah? And he's like, that's fucking stupid. That's not what I meant. And I totally believe him.
He's a fucking bleeding heart hippie. Of course, George Lucas wasn't trying to be racist.
Midi-chlorians.
Okay.
Fuck midi-chlorians. Yeah. You got this amazing magical component of your story that is nebulously defined, that works
however the writers need it to.
Right. And you had to quantify it with science. Now, that being said, in the real world, if there's something like the Force, this is what I'd be trying to discover, right? Because I'm outspokenly and unapologetically an atheist. When I watch Star Wars, I'm not. And I don't want to know how it works. The Force works in mysterious ways, and they could have just left it at that. Okay. That being said, he did that because he needed to establish a power scale.
Sure.
Right. And
like you needed some way to be able to say, holy shit, Anakin is powerful.
Yeah. They're like, Anakin has 10,000. It's more than Yoda. And you're like, 10,000 what? Midi-chlorians.
Yeah.
Okay. Midi-chlorian. He has 10,000 forces. And that's pretty much what it is, right? And I don't think he wasn't trying to like over explain it, but he ended up over explaining it. And it's a blood test, and it's like, what the fuck, man? Now, last week when we did the best moments in Star Wars, Darth Maul was on that list.
Yes,
because he's visually stunning. He's the fucking two-sided lightsaber. He's so cool.
His first action upon seeing Anakin, has no idea who Anakin is to just run him over.
Yeah, just, hey, there's a child. Fuck children in general.
I love how that establishes who Darth Maul is as a character.
Yeah. I believe, and I'm saying this because it was George's intention at the time. It was a big mistake to kill him. Now, you're going to say, oh, he came back in Clone Wars. Like, I haven't seen fucking Clone Wars. Like, I've seen Clone Wars, okay? I've seen it several times. And in fact, I've probably seen it more than you have. That was not the original intention. He was just a throwaway
character. Got fucking cut in half and thrown down an endless shaft.
With plasma.
Yes.
Which, by the way...
He was fucking dead.
Okay. Let's talk about some crazy out there, stupid Star Wars trivia that I know is just locked up here.
All right, hit me.
How many laser doors are there in Theed Palace?
Oh, fuck.
There are 7. You're not going to guess this. There are 7. Yeah.
I was going to say 12, but 7 makes more sense.
Would you be surprised if I told you that there is a deep mythological reason for there being 7 laser doors that's very important to the Naboo people?
No, I would not be surprised.
Because there is. Because there's some Naboo tale about how there are 7 doors that hold chaos back or something, and that's why there are 7 doors.
Oh, okay.
That's in the Star Wars Episode 1 visual dictionary. And I don't know how I've never not been able to forget this. Now, you all know why there are 7 doors.
Yep.
There you go.
All right. Have we shit talked on episode 1?
That's a movie.
Let's shit talk episode 2.
Attack of the Clones. This is my second least favorite Star Wars movie.
Deservedly so.
And that isn't to say, like I said before, I enjoy out of all the Star Wars movies, there are 2 that I don't love, and there's only one that I actively dislike, right? And it's not this one. So take that, with a grain of salt. The politics of this film don't make sense. Why is Amidala back? She's voting for a military creation thing that just disappears as that doesn't make sense, right? And she's like, oh, I have to be here for the vote. Oh, let's leave because I'm in danger. None of that makes sense. And then you have this is how bounty hunters work in Star Wars. Fucking Count Dooku is like, Jango, I need you to kill a bitch. And he's like, I fucking got you.
Got it.
Zam Wessel, I need you to kill a bitch. And she's like, fucking got you. Probe droid, I need you to kill a bitch. And he's like, beep, 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 beep. and then the probe droid's like, fucking centipedes of death. I need you to kill a bitch, right?
Centipedes of death are like, you got it.
This does not make sense. It would have been.
It's so many layers of subcontracting.
Yeah, right.
Like the centipedes of death cannot possibly be making any money. There's nothing left here.
Yeah. It's like that diagram of the pigeons with the management at the top. Yeah. Imagine, by the way, how fucking badass it would have been if the movie goes the same way. Padme's sleeping in her room. Anakin's watching beaten off and everything. Django comes crashing through the window and just starts, and he like gets the tingly thing and he jumps in right at the last second. And Django's like, the fuck, there are Jedi here, and then fucks off and they chase him, and then he just disappears. Yeah, right. And maybe he turns around and tries to shoot one of them with a dart, and Anakin's like,
that's how they find. Yeah,
that would have been fucking cool.
It would have made Obi-Wan's encounter with him on fucking Camino slightly different at first,
but this could have been cool worked, because like he could have gotten to Camino and talked to fucking Lady Neck, and she would have been like, oh, here's fucking Django. He's working with us, and they just like both stare at each other. Right. And he's like, oh, I gotta go do a thing, I'll be right back. And he's like,
Boba, warm up the engines. Start the car, honey.
That would have been better, right? Okay. The dialogue in this film is especially egregious.
It's atrocious.
It is so bad. And you know what? And I've said this several times before, and it sounds like I can't imagine anyone else as Anakin Skywalker than Hayden Christensen. He is Anakin Skywalker. I'm perfectly fine with it. I think it does the character justice because he's kind of weird.
He's kind of weird.
He's like obviously homeschooled, you know. His performance in this movie is bad. It's a bad performance. And I'm not sure if it's because they didn't take enough takes of each scene.
It's probably that he was 18 when they made this movie.
Yeah, he was young.
It was like his very first role.
Yeah,
and he was opposite
Natalie Portman,
who he had no charisma, like no chemistry there.
Which, by the way, how bad does your dialogue have to be to make Natalie Portman look like a bad actor? Because she looks like a bad actor in this movie, and it's because of the dialogue.
And like she's doing her best. Yeah, it's just the script and Hayden Christensen are not doing her any favors.
I could go on. The sand, the fucking every fucking thing in this movie, everything that comes out of someone's mouth who isn't Ewan McGregor. You're just like, shut the fuck up, dude.
Around the survivors, a perimeter create.
Right? Every clone trooper like looking at her like, what the fuck did he just say?
Why is he in charge?
Right. Okay. So there is a little known thing that people don't know about this movie.
Okay.
That would have changed Palpatine as a player on a deeper level. There was no Sifo Dyas in the original script. The original script said Sido Dyas because it was a cool little
anagram of Sidious.
Sidious, right. There was a typo in the shooting script, and whoever says Sifo Dyas in the script says Sifo Dyas and not Sido Dyas. And so they were like,
we gotta go with it.
Yeah, I guess we're creating a new character.
Yep.
Right. And then they did the thing with the Rebels and Clone Wars and shit. And like it's like that they really dropped the ball because that could have been cool. Then like it was just fucking Sidious all along, like in different, he's like different faces and shit. Here's an idea. Let's send a horny teenager who we know is in love with Padme on a one-on-one unsupervised mission to her house.
This will not possibly go wrong.
Of course they're gonna fuck. Like, which, by the way, Padme.
By the way, the scene where they're eating dinner and she's like cutting the apple with a knife and fork.
Yeah, which I like. A lot of the effects in this movie were groundbreaking at the time.
Yes,
the floaty pair thing. I think I'm almost positive that this is like. This is like subtext for him, like clit tickling.
Sure.
But they couldn't do that because it's a kid's movie. So they're like, can you just like tickle the pear? And he's like, okay.
Okay. Yeah.
And the fucking like the thing with like that she's like, okay, we're not supposed to fuck. So let's after dinner, I'm going to wear the sexiest shit I have.
Transparent dress.
It's not transparent. It's very black, and if it's very tightly.
Oh yes.
And
my mistake.
Lots of tits. Yeah. With a fire. Fucking no one's around.
Yep.
And Anakin gets there and sits down and is like, holy God. This whole thing, just like, I get it. Like we got to get them together. Mm-hmm. They got to fall in love eventually. Yeah. It's just like, who didn't see this coming? Let's move on.
Okay.
Revenge of the Sith, my fourth favorite Star Wars movie.
Okay.
Not a ton wrong with this, other than some obvious complaints.
It's pretty good.
Again, dialogue, not great in this movie.
George Lucas,
better.
He needed an editor.
Yeah, and this is he needed a writer.
Yes.
George. There's a reason that Empire Strikes Back is the best Star Wars movie. Hands down.
He had nothing to do with it.
He didn't write it, right?
Yeah.
And
there's a reason that you talk up the novelization of Revenge of the Sith so much, because like the core ideas behind Revenge of the Sith are really fucking interesting, and when you have a competent writer handling them, you get a really cool story. It's just George Lucas is not a good writer.
He's not that kind of like small detail like that kind of thing.
He thinks in big pictures and grand concepts, and he's fantastic at that. He should stay doing that, and he should just hire writers.
It's over, Anakin. I have the high ground.
There's two lines in the entire prequel trilogy that Ewan McGregor is like, this is so fucking stupid, and you can tell it's that, and only a Sith deals in absolutes.
Right. You underestimate my power. I'm so in love. Blah blah blah. So love has blinded you. That whole thing.
Just
like. I can't. I just can't. I can't even. Christians.
She died of a broken heart.
She lost the will to live.
Yes.
Did she misplace it? Where the fuck did it go? It just doesn't make sense. Now,
if they had said, she died of complications in childbirth, okay, that still happens in modern times. I can see that, being a. Because childbirth is notoriously difficult on women. I don't know if you know this, but
I'm gay. I try to stay as far away from that as I can.
For most of human existence, I think the number one killer of women was childbirth.
Oh, sure, yeah. And infected wisdom teeth.
Yes.
By the way. Anyway, Christensen's performance is better in this movie.
Yes.
And maybe it's because they did more takes of something. Maybe he just kind of matured.
Maybe he just had more experience as an actor. Maybe he took some classes at his local community college. Right. I don't know.
Not great. Still.
Yeah.
And that's fine. I've come to peace with it. He is Anakin Skywalker. That's fine. The scene where Mace Windu goes to arrest Palpatine and Palpatine kills all the Jedi. It is the weakest ass shit in the world. And it's like they didn't understand how to make it happen on screen. So he just poked them and they fell over. And these are supposed to be some of the best fucking Jedi there are, right?
Yeah.
And and he's not even moving that fast. I know they're like, oh, he's a whirlwind and blah blah. It's like, bro, he doesn't move that fast. Like they were a long way away from him. I'm not a Jedi, and I could have been like, ooh, just on accident, right?
Yeah.
It's just like, and as you mentioned, go read the novelization. It happens way cooler in the book. Like it's really cool. The Qui-Gon Jinn reveal at the end felt really shoehorned in, and I love the idea that he's the one that taught everyone how to live or how to not die or whatever. I get that. They should have set that up a little bit more, because there's like one scene in Attack of the Clones where you hear Qui-Gon's voice yell Anakin or whatever, but it's just because like Mace Windu is meditating, possibly tripping on LSD, like who the fuck knows. Like it could have been a thing where like they had plenty of time with the stupid fucking subplots in episode 2 where they could have been like, we found Qui-Gon's journal, what the fuck was he working on, what is this? And then at the end of episode 3 being like, this is what I was working on. Everyone's been dying up until now and they're permanently dead. And
that's fucking stupid.
I decided to fix it. So here we go.
You're welcome.
Who wants to be immortal in the Force? Right. Other than that, I don't like General Grievous. I'm sorry. Okay. I don't. I like him in the original 2D Clone Wars. I think he's really cool. In the movie, he's fucking annoying.
I think we also have to mention Jar Jar again for being like
ruining the entire everything. Yeah.
Good job, Jar Jar. You broke it.
You made Hitler the ruler of the universe. He gets what he deserves, by the way.
Yep.
Maybe we'll talk about that during the Battlefront stream.
That'd be fun.
Solo a Star Wars story.
Okay.
No one wanted this movie. That's my biggest complaint about it.
No one what?
No one wanted this movie. No one asked for it.
Okay.
Everyone was like, cool, Star Wars is coming back. Fucking give me lightsabers, give me Jedi. Let's do some Old Republic shit. It does
feel like Disney thought they were invincible and thought they could just slap Star Wars on anything and it would sell. Right. And this was definitely a wake-up call to them.
Which leads to my next point about this is that this was the peak of Star Wars fatigue. This movie came out like 3 months after The Last Jedi.
God, that's right. It did.
3 or 4 months. And it's like, guys, how many Star Wars movies are we going to do a year? Like, and that's coming from me, one of the biggest Star Wars fans in the world. It's like, it's all right to leave a little bit of time. And that's what they're kind of moving toward now, right?
From what I understand, Disney's initial plan was that they would have like episode 7, 8, 9, 2 years apart from each other, and then put another film in the off years. Yeah. Right. Which they almost did. They just put out Solo too soon. And they put it out too soon in more than one way, because holy shit, this is one of the movies that was taken over mid-production by an entirely new,
because Lord and Miller were originally hired out to do it. They shot almost the entire film, and the bosses at Lucasfilm, and yes, Kathleen Kennedy.
They looked at it,
for those of you fuckheads who are like, oh, you guys simp for Kathleen Kennedy. It's like, no, we have plenty wrong with Kathleen Kennedy. It's just none of the dumbass reasons you have wrong with her. Like, they were like, we don't like this concept, or we don't like this. Ron Howard, do it again. And they reshot the entire thing. And you know, the thing is, Lord and Miller is amazing. Like, they're behind fucking Spider-Verse.
Yes.
A bunch of really great shit.
Very questionable working conditions and policies.
Yeah, that's an entirely
movies, different thing, right? But like the end product is pretty fucking incredible.
Yes, I would have loved to see that Han Solo movie.
I think I would be interested in it. Yeah.
How Han Solo becomes Han Solo. This is the dumbest shit I've ever seen. Fucking, you go up to join the Empire. What's your last name? I don't know. Okay, so you're alone. What's another name for Solo?
There we go.
Yeah,
ship it.
Why couldn't his name just have been Han Solo? Like, orphans have last names, dude. Like, not all orphans just have one name. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Also, I hate the fact that the Imperials' recruiting propaganda is the Imperial March in a major key. I hate it. You go and listen to it. It's in the movie.
I forgot about
It's diegetically in the movie. And it's like, this does not sound good in a major key. And John Williams, he probably didn't watch the movie, but I guarantee John Williams would be like, get this shit out of my face. It's not good. Maul's cameo at the end, they're like, we have to have some cameo at the end.
We need to have a lightsaber.
Right. So
let's have 2 lightsabers.
And they're like, maybe it'll be Palpatine, maybe blah, 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 blah. And they're like, oh, it's Maul, I guess, kind of, and then we'll build the story around it.
And like, if you expect to be doing more with these characters, okay, fine. Maul makes sense as the man behind the curtain. Yeah. The problem is, number one, they never got to do anything more with those characters outside of the comics. Yeah. Number two, everyone who saw that movie, like, assumed Maul was dead.
Yeah,
because
I was about
like,
to say,
if you hadn't seen the Clone Wars, you didn't know what the fuck was up with Maul.
Yeah, it's like you take your parents to see this movie, and they're like, "Wait, didn't he die?" Yeah,
like why are his legs metal?
Yeah, it's like, we know what happened. Yeah, and that's for a conversation on the car ride home. But like it just felt a little shoehorned in. Also, I liked Alden Ehrenreich as Han Solo. I know a lot of people had some problems with him.
I think he's great.
I think it's great. Him happening to speak Sherrywook, and him doing the weird growls at Chewie. I was like,
it's a little weird.
You guys can communicate just with you guys are in a dangerous situation together. You figure out that you're trying to help each other. You don't have to make weird fucking Rogue One. This is gonna be tricky. I know.
It's really good.
And I just watched this movie yesterday. John wasn't feeling well yesterday. He thought he was coming down with the cold. He's fine. He generally, when he doesn't feel well, will put a comfort movie on, a Star Wars or a Star Trek movie on. Yesterday's movie was Rogue One. So I just saw this motherfucker yesterday. Hold on. Okay. For a movie that had so many production issues, it is so fucking good. And it was hard for me to get a list of this. Go ahead.
I think the Jeddah sequence kind of drags on a little bit.
I like the concept of Jeddah. Yeah. But it's
it's a cool thing. It's just that when you're sitting there watching it, it feels like they're on that planet forever.
Yeah. The music in this movie isn't good. I'm sorry. Yeah. And I like Michael Giacchino. And I even like some of the themes in this movie, and it's not his fault. It's not good. Andre Desplat was, I think, hired to do this film. They had to reshoot a lot of it, and he didn't have time in his schedule to do the music for it. Yeah. So they brought Michael Giacchino in with 3 weeks to finish an entire film score. And the result is that it sounds like all of his music from Jurassic World.
Jesus fuck!
It's not. It's
3 weeks.
Yeah, 3 weeks. And look, if you're like, well, for 3 weeks, it's real fucking good. You're right, but overall, it's not great. I don't love it. A couple of cool themes. A lot of it's not great.
CGI Tarkin.
Yeah. You know what? It was cool at the time. Has not held up.
It's very impressive technology. Yeah. Both at the time and I guess still to today. It doesn't look good.
Yeah.
It looks fucking weird.
Especially after we've seen Luke in Book of Boba Fett, which was as close to indistinguishable from a real person as we've ever gotten. You see that and you go back and watch Rogue One. You're like, why the fuck are you doing push-ins on his face? Why does he have a monologue?
Yeah.
Like his face doesn't look that great. And then the other problem is that Leia's is worse.
Yeah.
There's this weird thing. She has one, like they're like, we can only do one word.
Yeah.
But even that one word, her like upper lip is really weird and like doesn't move. And it's just like, and I think in the moment, everyone was like, oh my God, because Carrie just died.
Yeah.
So like everyone was like, oh my God, it's fucking Carrie Fisher, like young ass Carrie Fisher.
And also really cool technology.
Yeah. Also, she knew about it. She knew that she was going to be a digital in this and she loved the idea. Which is fine. It didn't look good.
Yeah.
James Earl Jones as Vader. Look, the Vader scene at the end. The Vader scene at the end is great. His scene with Krennic, fucking great. James Earl Jones as Vader, fucking great. He sounds like a 900-year-old man. And it's because he's a 900-year-old man, right? And it's like
he's doing his best. It's just the voice has not held up in the intervening
it's just
decades.
Like as you age, your voice gets deeper.
Yeah.
And you can tell that he's aged like 40 fucking years since 70.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like she was 40,
35, 40 years, something like that.
Well, and now they would use whatever fucking AI technology they have, like they did with Luke in Book of Boba Fett, and it would sound all right. Yeah. And in fact, I think they might have actually used that in Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I think so.
But he sounds like an old ass man. And I love him as an old ass man. It just kind of took me out of it. Look, I thought I could come up with a big list for A New Hope because it's not necessarily one of my favorite movies. But it's just not my favorite. It's not that I dislike it. It's just like there are other Star Wars movies I like a lot more.
Okay.
And I get that it's like the original movie. And look, I have all the reverence for it in the world. My only problem with it is that it's dated. It's clearly from the 70s, and it looks like a fucking 70s Buck Roger thing, right?
So I can think of a couple.
Okay.
Number one, after the droids land on Tatooine, that entire sequence up until like Luke goes out to find R2 and runs into Obi-Wan, that entire sequence drags on.
Okay.
Like it's kind of slow when they're just walking through the desert.
What's crazy is that was going to be way worse, but they fixed it.
Yeah.
So,
the shots inside the Rebel base on Yavin 4, like
the matte paintings, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're a little rough.
It doesn't look great.
At the time, it was great, though. They were using some crazy technology.
Like that's the thing. All this stuff, like the technical stuff we're talking about, maybe doesn't hold up so well. It was really fucking beyond state of the art when
people lost their minds when they saw this movie for the first time. Empire Strikes Back.
Okay.
Luke chopped the arm off the Wampa. Easily could have killed him. Knew there was a blizzard outside. Why the fuck didn't he just stay in that cave?
Because he was panicking.
I don't accept that.
No?
No, I think he just cut the arm off the Wampa. He's like, God damn, it's a lightsaber. I know why he needed to leave. Because they needed to do the drama.
Yep.
Han needed to find him. He needed to see Obi-Wan in a moment of near death. Totally get it. I would have been like, this is my home now. Get the fuck out. This is my cave.
I will also say the Wampa itself, especially if you watch the original theatrical release, the Wampa is kind of rough.
Yeah.
Like
we don't see very much of it.
Yeah. You see this one furry arm.
It's like someone waving an arm around in front of the camera. Yeah.
Like you get this close up of the face when it roars. And like it's like it doesn't even walk in the cave. It just kind of slides behind some icicles.
You know that they had a guy in a suit that couldn't walk in the snow. He just kept falling over, and that's why.
Yeah.
The Luke and Leia kiss.
Mm-hmm.
Hot button issue. I know it's weird. It's why it's on the list. It's weird.
I mean, I think it makes total sense in context.
It does. And before anyone freaks out, she was not about to jump on that dick because she wanted to jump up on that dick. She kissed him because she knew Han Solo was watching, right? And she didn't know it was her brother. Now, the weird thing is that she kissed him and Luke's like, why am I so hard? That's a little, because you can tell on his face.
He's leaning back like,
oh, the second you guys leave this room, I am masturbating to that. And that part's weird. But Leia,
I mean, Luke was what, a 20-year-old farm boy at this point?
He didn't know
it's not. Sister. That's probably his first kiss. It's not that weird.
They're consenting adults. Leia had already fallen in love with Han Solo at this point. Like, she's already in love with him. And the whole rest of the movie is a will they, won't they. That's all. I'll give it a break, but it is a little weird. Those are my only things with Empire Strikes Back. Other than that, a perfect fucking film for me.
Yeah.
Okay, Return of the Jedi.
Okay, the good guy's plan for everything involving Jabba's palace makes no goddamn sense.
Luke, what the fuck were you thinking?
Like, what were they gonna do if Leia snuck in, successfully unfroze Han, and escaped with him? What were they gonna do with Chewie and the droids?
Yeah, and Lando.
Was Lando just gonna pick him up and walk out with him? Like,
I imagine, and it would be funny if we found out that Luke's like, okay, Lando, go get Han. He gets there and he's like, I had to go undercover.
I can't do this by myself. I need some help.
And Luke's like, fuck. Okay.
Droids, go get Han.
Go get Han. And they're like, we're droids.
Fine, I'll give you this fucking message. Just go get Han.
They go and they're like, we're still droids. He's like, why didn't you say that before you left? And they're like, we did, you asshole. And he's like, well, fuck. Okay.
Leia
and Chewie, go get Han. And she's like, he wants to rape me. And he's like, okay.
I've got this cool helmet for you.
Yeah.
Just go get Han.
Yeah. We got caught. Progress.
Yeah.
He's not in carbonite anymore.
Yes.
But where we got caught.
Luke's like,
and so Luke's like, son of a bitch, I'll do it myself. And he shows up and then he gets caught.
Except he couldn't even do that because he gave his lightsaber to R2 in advance.
Yeah.
Nothing about this makes sense.
Right. We're the impression that we're supposed to get is that there's some like high IQ plan happening.
This is all part of his master plan.
Right. And it's like, if you don't pay attention to it too much, that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
But when you start thinking about it, you're like, the fuck, man? Like, what are we actually doing? There were some special edition changes. There was one special edition change in particular.
Jedi Rock.
I like that.
Yeah. It's a cool number.
Yeah, I like that. I don't like that they replaced Yub Nub at the end. Yeah. Even though the song they replaced it with still kind of slaps.
Yeah.
The problem I had, and I didn't have a problem making Wicket blink. That makes sense. Why the fuck wouldn't you have eyelids? The travesty that is adding dialogue to Vader's tipping point.
Yes.
And having him yell no because that's what he does in episode 3. It's one of those things. I guess I should have brought up a lot of special edition things with A New Hope. Now that I think about it, there's a lot of shit he didn't need to change. McClunky. Why wasn't that on the list?
I don't know.
Maybe it's because we laugh at it so much, and I think it's a good thing now. Anyway, it's like, George, stop fucking with this.
Yeah, it's fine. Just leave it alone.
Yeah, it's like you're that Hollywood housewife that just keeps getting work done on her face, and it's like, what the fuck is this? Yeah. It isn't recognizable anymore. And this is one of those moments where like you ruined the emotional impact of the moment, and it sounds weird. Like, it's a goofy take of him screaming no. Like, it doesn't sound natural. And you would think that him yelling no before he grabbed Palpatine would be like, what the fuck are you screaming about? Before he grabs him, right? Anyway, I'm over it. I've healed. Like I'm over it, but it's still, every time I watch it, I'm just like, I can't take this.
I think the sequence between like when they're looking for Leia and running into the Ewoks and all that kind of drags on a bit long.
Yeah. There are some pacing things with every movie and everything. That's fine. The Force Awakens.
Okay.
this is a rehash of Star Wars, and I hate that idea in general.
Yes.
They wanted to do something that they knew would sell.
Yes. I get why they wanted to prove to the fans that, hey, Star Wars is back, baby. It's going to be exactly like you
remember it. Yeah, exactly. Like you remember it. And that was stupid. They shouldn't have done that. The map to Luke Skywalker doesn't make sense.
Yes.
Like you open this the crawl opens with a banger. Luke Skywalker has vanished.
What?
Why the fuck would he leave a map behind? Right? Especially when you find out he doesn't want to be found.
Yeah.
Starkiller Base doesn't make sense.
Not even just like a planet that shoots a giant magical laser that blows up other planets. Why can you see that? Like, why can the laser travel in hyperspace to hit these planets that are so far away?
Yeah, it does not make sense. The First Order doesn't make sense.
Where did they come from? Where did they get all these Star Destroyers?
Now look, of course they've fleshed out that story, and we get that it's like, why not just make it the Imperial Remnant?
Yeah,
some lower level Imperial officer who was like the guy that was lucky enough to survive runs off and makes his own little kingdom with his own little stormtroopers,
and then it gets out of hand.
Yeah, that would have been cool. We don't need another. It's because they wanted to make new things, right? I get it. It's stupid. We didn't need another Death Star battle with a trench run and an exhaust port. Now, the music for that sequence is fucking great.
Yes.
Scherzo for X-Wings, one of John Williams' best pieces of music he's ever written. That whole thing is just kind of stupid. Didn't like it.
Let's see. I was thinking of something. What was it? The fucking sequence on Han's space station with the
Men in Black monsters.
Yes.
Yeah.
That thing.
The Rathtars.
Why did that need to be there?
Yeah. They're like, we need more aliens in this bitch. Yeah. Okay.
I was thinking of one other thing. What was it? Whatever. Yeah. It'll come to me later.
Doesn't matter. Last Jedi. Finn's arc in this movie wasn't handled well.
Yeah.
And I unapologetically tell people Star Wars The Last Jedi is my third favorite Star Wars movie. I make no apologies for that. I can make a fucking great argument for it.
It's a really fucking good movie. Yeah. It just has some parts that aren't great.
Yeah. And the arguments that I've seen about it being a bad movie are either just parroted from online YouTube, snowflakes, or they'll be like, the writing's bad. And it's like, you don't know what version of 2 to use in the English language. So don't fucking tell me about writing. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. That being said, Finn's arc was not handled well. He
wakes up, where's Rey?
And then doesn't immediately distracted by something else.
Yeah.
Right.
Ooh, shiny.
Yeah. Leia's I want to say death because she doesn't actually die, and you're going to be like, oh, it's Mary Poppins Leia. And it's like, shut the fuck up. Like I get it looks weird. The CG looks kind of wonky. You just shut the fuck up about that. I understand Carrie died before this, and everyone was like, what the fuck are they going to do? You know what would have been the ballsiest fucking thing in the world is if they have that happen, that moment where Kylo goes to shoot the missiles, he decides not to. His wingman is like, fuck you, I hate your mom, and then does it himself. Yeah. Put that a little bit later in the movie. Fucking missile hits, the bridge blows out. That's how Leia dies.
Damn.
Now get this. This is the thing that rips Luke out of his self-imposed Force exile. Where he's like, I'm not using the Force, blah, blah, blah. I can't hear anything in the Force. His sister dying is the thing that gets him to spur into action. And imagine the tragedy of that. To be like, all the shit that Luke's already dealing with, for him to be like, I might have been able to help her. Yeah. Like I might have been able to save her, and I was being an idiot, and I was plugging my ears with my fingers. Like that whole thing could have been cool.
Cantabite.
Yeah, that's my next thing. The sequence drags. It's kind of weird.
It drags. Like I get Rian Johnson was trying to like make this message about war and who it profits and who benefits from it.
And I love the anti-capitalist message of it because that's who I am.
There's a lot to unpack there, and you could make a very interesting movie about that.
Yeah.
I don't know that it really fits with Star Wars.
Yes, and then DJ is a stupid character too.
Yeah,
I don't love him.
He's a plot device who exists to do two things. He exists to crack the code and then
do Orlando. Yeah. Rian Johnson needed to have explored Rey's Force vision in the first film when she touches the lightsaber and she sees the Knights of Ren. He doesn't really. The story is way more intimate. Like it focuses on like 4 hours worth of time or something. That's the whole movie. It would have been nice for him to kind of pick that up and give us a little bit. That way it didn't feel so weird when they came back.
They needed a plan.
Yeah, that's the thing.
That's what a lot of this boils down to. They needed a plan for the entire trilogy, and they didn't have one.
And it was a huge problem. Okay, moving on. The Rise of Skywalker, my least favorite Star Wars movie ever. I know. I get that. I think a guy that watches our channel a lot, it's his favorite Star Wars movie. And I totally...
More power to you.
Yeah, that's great. We're not here to tell you that you're not supposed to like Star Wars. And the fact that you got so much enjoyment out of it is great. And it makes me feel a little jealous because I wanted that. I really wanted to feel that way. This entire film is a fucking mess. And it started out with Palpatine's return happening as a fucking Fortnite event.
What the... I still can't believe that happened.
This is Star Wars. This is the most insanely popular science fiction, the most popular fantasy story of all time. More than Lord of the Rings. Everyone knows Star Wars. Everyone knows Darth Vader. Everyone knows the Star Wars theme. People in fucking, I don't know, that one island where they haven't had any contacts with humans where the Christians keep going to die.
Yeah.
Those guys know Vader's theme. And this is how
you have this massively important plot point happen in Fortnite
with a character that people love.
Yeah.
People love Palpatine as a character because he's a great bad guy. And that's how you do it. You do it with fucking Fortnite. And the only people who are there to listen to are 13-year-olds. I don't understand that.
And it leads us to the brilliant line, somehow Palpatine returned.
Right. Now, if they had planned this through, they could have been doing little Easter eggs throughout the Palpatine was on his way back. They could have had some
They could have had some hints that Snoke was actually Palpatine.
Now, imagine this. Because in the Fortnite, it's just a broadcast that happens. And some magically happens on everyone's radio.
Yeah.
And Palpatine's like, I'm back, bitches. Right? And everyone's like, who the fuck's that? Yeah. Imagine the end of fucking Last Jedi. Everything happens the way it does. Fucking broom kid grabs the broom, sweeps, looks up to the sky, and that message booms out.
I'm back, bitches.
Yeah, and that's how the movie ends.
And then he drops the broom. Oh my god.
Yeah, but people would have lost their fucking mind, and no one would be talking about the Last Jedi.
Again, if they had a plan, they could have done all this shit way better.
This movie This movie is what happens when the entire plot is fan service. Everything in this movie that happens, when considered whether or not to put it in the movie, the running question seemed to have been, is this fan service enough? If it wasn't, it didn't go in the movie.
Yeah, and I can see why they would think that would be important because this is the wrap up to a 9-movie story. Yeah. You got to get this thing across the finish line. You got to do it in a way that's not going to leave a bad taste in people's mouths. Yeah. The problem is it left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths because the movie's just not that good.
Yeah, you can't do a movie plot just on fan service. It just doesn't work. Palpatine's return obviously was last minute. It was never planned. He was never supposed to come back, but it's last minute. It insults Palpatine's character that he comes back for one movie and then immediately dies. It also insults Anakin's sacrifice. I mean, what was it for? It was for fucking nothing.
It was so that when Palpatine came back, he would have really fucked up fingers.
Yeah. Little hot dog bony fingers. Yeah. Rey doesn't need to be a Palpatine. This is stupid.
Yeah. It's so fucking stupid. Rey, I guess they were trying to tell this story about how you can rise above the circumstances of your birth to become a hero. No. We don't need that.
No, they weren't trying to do that. They were trying to do a no, I'm your father moment. That's what they were trying to do. Yeah. And it fell flat because you can't emulate that moment because it's so fucking perfect, right? You can't do that. Rey could have been Rey from nowhere.
She should have been.
And it would have been just as beautiful. Force dyads, needed to have been introduced earlier in the trilogy. Yes. That thing happening out of nowhere just doesn't make sense. I kind of like the idea.
I can, like, if they had developed it and said, like, maybe this is in one of Luke's books or whatever. Right. Sure.
Yeah. What the fuck is a dyad? What the fuck? That's why I can talk to him in the Force Visions. Does that mean we can fuck? Lando was shoehorned into this movie.
Yeah.
And I get it. Everyone loves Billy D. Williams. Everyone loves Lando. I smiled when I saw him, and it's like, guys, this could have been anyone. It just happened to be Lando.
I mean, again, like, I get why Carrie Fisher had died. They felt like they needed an original trilogy character to help carry it.
I don't know. Stupid. Cutting the movie around Carrie, they were as respectful as with the face thing. They were as respectful as they could be, but it doesn't work very well. It looks fine, but you know what her part is like in this movie? She's like a doll with a string, where you're like, oh, Leia, blah 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 blah. Well, what do you think about blah blah blah? And you pull the string, she's like, always trust a droid. Like she had these. She only had like 10 lines or whatever.
They only had so much footage they could use of her.
And I get it. I get that was the challenge. You should have killed her earlier. She shouldn't have been alive for this, and it would have solved every problem.
Well, okay. That would have required them to know in advance that Carrie Fisher was going to die.
Well, no.
But both, actually. To have a plan for where the story was going to go more than just this movie, and then to know that Carrie Fisher was going to die and she wasn't going to be available.
Well, no, she died before Last Jedi came out. I think they could have cut the movie in a way that killed her in The Last Jedi, and they could have done some reshoots, and I think it could have worked.
Maybe.
Leia's death doesn't make sense in this movie. I don't understand. And I get, if you really stretch, a case could be made that she was using the Force to.
Well, she was doing what Luke did, what killed Luke.
Right, but it's not. It isn't apparent to me when I'm watching it that that's what's happening. It's just like she's like, oh, something weird's happening with my son. Oh, I'm gonna lay down. Oh, I've disappeared or I've died. Right, and I didn't like it. Han's appearance in this movie doesn't make sense.
Yes.
I get it.
Fan service.
I get it. Seeing Harrison Ford as Han Solo, sign me the fuck up. And still, as a scene, like as a tableau that you just remove from the film, it's touching.
Yeah.
Even though Harrison Ford is like, why the fuck am I doing this? Right?
He's doing it for plane money.
Yeah. And you can tell. Like he kind of owns it in a little bit, but that's kind of what Han Solo would do anyway.
The scene doesn't even make sense, like in context, like in universe. Like is Kylo hallucinating?
I think that's what Leia is supposed to be doing. I think she's like, I don't know. It's what I'm saying. It doesn't fucking make sense. Oh, look, more Death Stars, except there are tons of them. They're little bitty Death Stars. And what is it? Why do we have a fetish for a weapon that can destroy an entire planet? Like, there are other problems in the universe that you can create, right? The Final Order, fucking stupid.
Yes.
Being like, oh, this was my plan all along. It's like, it was not, you piece of shit. Like, you're freaked out by what happened with The Last Jedi. Some people were very loud about The Last Jedi, and you're like, oh my God, let's correct the ship. And that's what's happening here, right? Maz Kanata, her only role in this is to fill out Leia's dialogue. Yeah. Where she's like, never trust a droid. And Mace Kanata's like, well, what she means. And then like fills it in, right? Yeah. Luke lifting the X-Wing had me rolling my eyes, which is shitty because I wanted to see this happen in The Last Jedi, and I would have pissed my pants if it happened. But you could tell they're like, oh, we better put Luke lifting the X-Wing in. They're mad about that, so let's put it in.
And it's funny because like they did some other cool things where like he catches the lightsaber, and
which was Palpatine should have been Luke and Anakin's fight in this movie. There's a really popular cut of this movie that's really well done, where people CG in some Force ghosts that assist Rey. Have you seen this?
No.
We'll watch it. We'll watch it during the Battlefront stream. It raises my hairs. It's fucking cool because it's the scene between Palpatine and Rey, and behind her and it's well done. Force ghosts, fucking Mace Windu, Ben Kenobi, Qui-Gon Jinn, maybe Luke. They just kind of like appear while she's like trying to do the lightning thing, and they're like putting their hands up and shit. And it's like,
cool.
This is the obvious. Like this is like That's what anyone would have written. Fucking, you are all the Jedi.
Yeah.
Here's all the fucking Jedi.
Yeah.
You know what would have been really cool is if Sidious had fucking Darth Malgus and all the...
Well, no, because that's the point of the Sith. They're all embodied in him.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't need any of their bitch asses. He has himself.
Right. He's like, I just took your powers. You can go fuck off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, there's our problem with Star Wars.
Oh, also... Rey Skywalker.
Oh, yeah.
Who the fuck asked for that?
Yeah. We don't need, look.
Like, why is this random lady in the desert asking what your last name is? She a cop?
Yeah.
Is she asking to see your ID? Like
I would have...
Who asked?
Ray.
Why did you ask?
Yeah, Ray who? Who the fuck's asking?
Yeah.
Why are we talking about this? Which, by the way...
Are you detaining me or am I free to go?
There was an avenue where you could have made her a Palpatine, which I vehemently disagree with. I don't think that was that was a good idea. But you could have done it. At the end, fucking, who the fuck are you? Ray who? And she still says, just Ray.
Yeah.
Being like, if I tell you Palpatine, you might fucking pass out. So we won't say that, but just be like, you know what? That's not who defines me. I'm just Ray.
Yeah.
She didn't need to be a Skywalker. And I get that, like, there are people who are mad about this for stupid reasons. And look, if you're one of the Rey Skywalker guys, I get why you're frustrated about that, because a lot of the reasons for this are really stupid and are usually more misogynistic than they're anything else. So anyway, the next time you say, oh, you guys are Disney shills. First of all, we do not have a big enough following to be shills for anyone. No one gets paid for this.
However, Disney, if you're listening, if you want to send us some checks,
$5 is $5.
We'll do it for less than you think.
I will suck Mickey's dick. This is not going in. This is not going into the video cut, by the way. If you want me to suck Mickey Mouse's dick, how old is Mickey Mouse?
Like
canonically.
90 something. Oh, canonically, I don't know. He's an adult, I think.
Thank God. Okay. $5 is $5. I'm saying. All right. We got to go play some Battlefront. We hope you join us then. We'll be back. Actually, we might not be back next week. We're going to talk about it later. But then we're going to do our end of the year. These are all the movies we saw at some point this month for New Year's. Mm-hmm. And then the Battlefront and other things too. So join us here in a few minutes for Battlefront. I did not mean to touch you like that. I'm so sorry.
Bottom third.
I can't keep waving.
Get to it. Press the button.
Okay, bye.
Bye.